So at the School of Cards, we follow an assessment-based approach towards education, meaning we identify what a player wants to accomplish, where they are at, and give them a path. When we read these assessments, we're usually trying to figure out which category a player is in. Are they playing for fun, profit, or income? And here's the trick. It's not what they want, because every single damn poker player will say profit or income. It's what their behavior is currently in alignment with and how possible accomplishing that path actually is. And at the root of this problem is one of the biggest mental game issues in poker, which is that players don't distinguish why they are playing this game. When you understand why, everything becomes easier because the paths are different, and once you define the reason, you can manage your expectations. However, I want to explain the difference between a player's behavior within these three categories. Players who want to play purely for fun is the first one. So this path is simple because it's about enjoyment, right? So like have a drink, use the game to blow off steam and get distracted from your daily life. Force players to make tough decisions and be that annoying player who is having such a good time while everybody else is miserable. However, don't expect to be profitable or make money from the game. Set aside a certain amount of money per month you are willing to lose and stick to it. A player who wants to play poker for profit. Now, this path isn't as simple. You have certain mechanical issues with your game that need work. You need support, the right material, and a work ethic that 99% of players just don't have. You will need to set aside a bankroll or a larger poker budget to deal with the volatility of the game, and you will need to learn to mentally prepare yourself to deal with that. Now, this path requires a lot of effort and dedication on your behalf. Not just watching a couple of damn videos or reading a couple of books. It will require work that other players just aren't willing to do. This is the real reason the majority of players aren't profitable. I would say like 97% of players say this, but don't actually put the work in. This is like anything else. People want X and aren't willing to put in the work to accomplish it. The problem is most of these players blame it on variance when the reality is they just aren't good enough to profit. Oh, and you know you are one of these people if you you complain about variance of a 3 to 4 buy-in swing. You make statements when you're complaining about players having, or being bad and getting there. Or if you only read like a couple of books, watch a couple of poker YouTube videos and haven't actually done raw work on your game, stop fooling yourself. It's a really dangerous habit loop in this game when you think you are good enough to profit and aren't. So the third category is players who want to play poker for income. The path is similar to profit, but long-term. I would say that anyone who is currently break-even or losing with the right guidance, mindset, and focus can make a transition to income in about 14 to 18 months. However, this depends on a lot of variables. The amount of income required, initial capital. Players playing for income are the true professionals. They need to approach the game like they are operating a business. They need a very solid accountability group behind them, and they need to be constantly refining and developing their edge. They need to purchase every damn course, program, training site, book, etc., because it's irresponsible not to work on your profession. Now, I honestly believe very few people have the personality traits and the desire to meet this criteria, and feel most players are going to be better off aiming to play poker for side income as a very serious hobby. We do all these surveys, and most players say they want profit in my surveys and assessments, but they do the work of somebody who just wants to have fun. So, Blake, I want to make $2,000 a month. Oh, sign up for this program. It's $1,200. Oh no, too much. I only do free stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Also, School of Cards isn't the only shop in town. I hate to say this, but if you're unwilling to dedicate money to this game in 2020, I doubt you will make it. This is a massive trap, and it's why so many players get frustrated with this game. You don't need to buy a single thing from me. Just make sure you align your goals with a path that is grounded in reality, or this game just becomes a lot harder. And you got to understand, poker is such a weird game because there's very few things in life where you do something and you're not rewarded. Either the feedback loop's all screwed. You play your hand perfectly, river's screwed. Screws you up, you lose. Or you do something where, your bluff timing was right, and that was a profitable play, and it was an amazing bluff, and it was well executed and well considered, but that was the one time he had that combo of hand that's just always calling. But it's just very difficult for players to understand this. But most of you people watching this, you have a fun approach, but you want an income or profit, and it just doesn't work. It does not work. You're just going to find yourself going in circle and circle and circle. And ask yourself, if you had these approach, or that you had this goal or this approach, where were you a year ago? Where were you a year before that? Where were you 2 years from that? See what history has shown you? Have you been somebody who's been focused on income and just not had it and been miserable that whole time? Well, maybe it's time to drop down and have some more fun with the game. Poker is amazing. It's fun. Not everybody needs to be a professional poker player. Not everybody needs to be 10 plus big blinds per hour. Not everybody needs to move up in stakes from 1-2 to 2-5 and crush the biggest stakes. Like, that's not reality. Right? Reality is you need to find the path that works for you. And I really believe that a lot of players will just be so much more happier and so much more satisfied if they pick a path that is reasonable and that they actually want, and they're honest with, they do an honest assessment about, can I walk that path, right? It's going to take study every day, hour of study every day, 2 hours of study a day, whatever it is. Can I actually do that? And the answer for most players is no. So be careful that you don't fall into that trap. Sorry for the little bit of a rant, but poker for income, poker for profit, and poker for fun are 3 different things entirely. Any questions or comments, post below.